This video will go with the video directly before it, my superhero collection, my superhero movie collection. I wanted to talk about more about my favorite superheroes, favorite villains, favorite movies, but I didn't want to put it in the video itself because the video was already 22 minutes long. So this video will go along with that video. That'll be my superhero movie collection. That'll be directly before the video, right before this video. So I can make this video a little bit longer than as long as I want. So I just wanted to talk about probably give my 10 favorite superheroes, 10 favorite superhero movies, 10 favorite villains. Also, I wanted to talk about my well, first, before I forget, because I know I'll forget if I do this later, I wanted the actors who play the actors who play superheroes the best, that nobody else could play them. I think the best actor to ever play a superhero would be Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Tony Stark. He is so good in that role. You won't be able to see. Nobody else has played Tony Stark yet. Only Robert Downey Jr. I think he's played him 10 times now. Or Black Widow will make the 10th. But once somebody else does play that role, I don't think people aren't going to accept it, because Robert Downey Jr. is so perfect in that role as Tony Stark. He has the humor, he plays this billionaire genius. He's perfect at it. I think Robert Downey Jr. is probably the best actor to play a superhero in that role, Tony Stark. Another one is Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Same thing there. I think he played him 9 times. Nobody else has played Wolverine yet. Not in a live action movie. So when somebody else does play Iron Man or Wolverine, we're probably not going to like it. Because Hugh Jackman is perfect in that role. Another one would be Christopher Reeve, who played Superman. Christopher Reeve was born to play Superman. He was the best Superman by far. People played Superman before and after, and no one came even close to as perfect as Superman as Christopher Reeve. Another one would be Warren Beatty as Dick Tracy. Warren Beatty was really perfect as Dick Tracy. And the last one I think that I can think of off the top of my head is Matt Ryan as Constantine. Matt Ryan was born to play Constantine. He was perfect in that. Before that, Keanu Reeves played Constantine in the movie, and it wasn't very good. And that's the first time I didn't know anything about Constantine. I saw the Keanu Reeves movie, but I didn't like it, so I never got into it. And it wasn't very good. Keanu Reeves is a better actor, and he's a good actor, but in that movie, in that role, he wasn't very good. But once I saw Constantine the show with Matt Ryan, he is perfect. Just every little thing he has, he's perfect as Constantine. Matt Ryan, I don't know from anything else. So he was born to play that role. I don't think he would be as good at anything else that he did. I don't know, what else he's in, but I'm pretty sure he's not that good as he is in Constantine. He's perfect as Constantine. He was born to play Constantine. Christopher Reeve was born to play Superman. But unlike them, those guys, Robert Downey Jr. and Warren Beatty, and even Hugh Jackman, they've done other stuff, other good stuff, big stuff. Robert Downey Jr. is an Oscar winner, so he's done a lot of other stuff as well. But he's so good as Iron Man. But like Matt Ryan and Christopher Reeve wasn't in that many. I mean, he was in some other stuff, but nothing big, nothing like Superman. But I think those are off. I'm sure there's other actors that are good, but those are the best that I could think of off the top of my head. Those 5 in their roles. Probably Robert Downey Jr. being the best actor ever to play superhero as Iron Man. He's just perfect. But like I said, Christopher Reeve is nobody else could, so nobody else played Iron Man or Wolverine yet, and nobody else played Dick Tracy since 1990. And somebody, Matt Ryan played Constantine. Keanu Reeves did too, but nobody else has played Wolverine or Iron Man yet. So but I don't. But when they do, I don't think we're gonna like it because we're so used to them. The other thing I used to do was I used to keep track of the actors who played multiple superheroes for different movies. Like I used to keep track of them, but actually it started to be too many, so I just stopped keeping track. And I wrote them down because I know I won't remember. But like for example, Samuel Jackson, he's in at least 4 different superhero movies. 4 characters from different superhero movies, at least, maybe even more that I missed. But obviously, he's Nick Fury in the Avengers throughout multiple Marvel movies. But he's also in The Spirit, which is a superhero movie. He's in Unbreakable as the bad guy. He's the bad guy in The Spirit too. He's in Jumper as the bad guy. Jumper is not technically a superhero movie, but I think of it as a superhero movie because the main guy can teleport. Sam Jackson's the bad guy trying to catch him. And he's also in The Incredibles animated movie. He's a good guy in that one. So there's 1, 2, 3. There's 5 different superhero movies that Samuel Jackson is in. 5 different characters. You know, and then as Nick Fury and the Avengers and all the Marvel, he's in throughout all those movies. So I think Sam Jackson's the most. Another one was Chris Evans, who obviously plays Captain America, but he was also in Fantastic Four as Johnny Storm, and he was in Push, which is I think of Push as a superhero movie because they use superpowers. So it's a small budget movie with Dakota Fanning and Chris Evans, but that's also a superhero movie. So he's in 3. Michael Keaton, that's a big one. Batman, obviously, the good guy is Batman, and then the bad guy is Vulture in Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man. Dolph Lundgren was the Punisher, and then he was Constantine Kovar in Arrow, the TV show. Constantine Kovar wasn't a superhero, but it was a superhero show. That's why I wrote that down. Nicolas Cage, one of my favorite actors. He was Ghost Rider. He was also a superhero in Kick-Ass. Ben Affleck, that's a big one. He was Batman, but before that he was Daredevil. So 2 good guys there. Ryan Reynolds, that's another big one. Deadpool and Green Lantern. Deadpool way better than Green Lantern, obviously. Brandon Routh, Superman. He did a bad Superman Returns. He was bad in that role. He was not. There's a Henry Cavill as Superman is okay. Nowhere near Christopher Reeves, but Brandon Routh did a horrible job as Superman Returns. But he did a great job as Ray Palmer in Legends of Tomorrow. He's actually one of my favorite characters in that show. As Ray Palmer, he's great. But as Superman, he was horrible. And they actually did a episode. Well, it was one of the crossovers. The last crossover last year with the 5 crossovers: Flash, Legends, Arrow. Right before Arrow ended, Supergirl and Batwoman. And Ray Palmer plays a version of Superman, which was cool to see him do that. But in Superman Returns, he was not good. But as Ray Palmer, he's great. He's funny. Scarlett Johansson, she's Black Widow, but she's also in The Spirit with Sam Jackson. So she worked with Sam Jackson in The Spirit and in all the Marvel movies. Ron Perlman, he's Hellboy, but he was also in The Tick. I think that's a TV show. Yeah, he was in the TV show The Tick. Lance Henriksen was in Daredevil, the TV show, and Legends of Tomorrow, the TV show. Sharon Hines was Steppenwolf in Justice League. He's also in Ghost Rider 2. Michael B. Jordan, Fantastic Four Reboot. He was Johnny Storm, and he was also in Black Panther. Josh Brolin, there's another one tied with Chris Evans. See, most of these are 2, except for Sam Jackson was a 5. Chris Evans was in 3, and Josh Brolin was also 3. He was in Jonah Hex, which is a Western, but it's a Marvel character from Marvel comic book. He was Cable in Deadpool 2, and he was obviously Thanos in the Avengers. Everybody knows Thanos. So Josh Brolin did 3, Chris Evans 3, and Sam Jackson 5 different superhero movies, plus all the Avengers. Oh, the Marvel. So now I got that out of the way because I knew I'd forget that. I guess I'll say my top 10 superhero movies first off. Or should I? No, I'll say my top 10 superheroes first. Top 10 superheroes. So 1 and 2 would be a tie. It's too hard. I mean, Batman and Superman obviously would be my favorite superheroes. Batman and Superman, but if they'd be 1 and 2, Batman and Superman. But if I had to choose, if somebody said you have to choose just by a little bit, who would be better? I'd have to say Batman, just because they're both. I like them both, pretty much just the same. But I would choose Batman slightly above, only because Batman is darker. I grew up with both of them. I grew up with Superman movies were already out, and Adam West Batman show was already on. By the time I was 5 years old, watching everything, I was watching. By the time I was 5, I was already watching Star Wars and Batman, Superman, He-Man, Indiana Jones, and James Bond. I watched everything by the time I was 5. But by the time I was 5 years old, Superman 1 and 2 were already out in the theater, but the only Batman was Adam West. By the time I was 10 in 1989 was Tim Burton's Batman. And that's the Batman I love the Adam West Batman, but the Tim Burton Batman was the black suit. Adam West was the gray and the blue, and it's the tights. Tim Burton's was the body armor, all black. So I always liked the dark Batman. Plus Batman he's a billionaire. He's rich. Plus he has to use he's smart. His detective skills. He's basically a ninja. He's a martial artist. So that's why I like Batman, but I also like Superman because that's a fantasy. If you could be Superman, you'd want to be Superman. You can't get hurt. You can do whatever you want. You can't get hurt. You can fly. You can you can just do whatever you want. So in the fantasy world, yeah, Superman's the better. Actually, Batman and Superman, it would be the perfect superhero. There's 2 types of superheroes, and Batman and Superman are the perfect example of each type of superhero. One superhero has powers. One superhero is a real person, regular person who has to train and train their body, train their mind, and fight crime the best way they can. They use gadgets. Most of them are millionaires or billionaires, and they use their money to buy gadgets. So the best superhero with a power is Superman, and the best superhero without a power is Batman. So that's why, to me, those two are so close. But Batman's slightly better only because he's darker. Superman's not really. A lot of people think Superman's like a goody-goody or a Boy Scout. He's not really like that. But Batman is more darker. But Batman doesn't kill. He doesn't use guns. I mean, maybe later when he's older. But the Batman really does. The Batman we know doesn't really. He doesn't kill people. Doesn't use guns. He's not. He's not that. But he is darker than Superman. So number 1 and 2 would be Batman and Superman. Number 3 would be the Punisher, which does use guns, and he is gritty, really dark. He kills people he kills bad guys, but he kills them for vengeance. So a lot of people say, "Oh, he kills people," but he's he kills bad guys. He kills mobsters and bad guys. So, but I'll tell you where I found most of these. Not from the comics. I didn't read many comics when I was a kid. Only a very few comics, and they're only my favorite: Batman, Superman, Punisher, Hawk, Spider-Man. But that's not where I found superheroes. Where I found superheroes were from the live-action movies or shows. Superman 1 and 2 were already out. I think they were 78 and 80. I think Superman was 78, Superman 2 was 80, and by the time I was born in 79, so by the time I was in 85, I was 6 years old. I had already seen Superman 1 and 2, the Batman show. So that's the first time I saw Superman from Superman 1 and 2, Christopher Reeves. I never really saw, there's a lot of Superman shows that I still haven't seen, Smallville and Superboy and Lois and Clark, and I still haven't seen any of those. Even the George Reeves show, I've seen a few episodes of that, but not many. I still haven't seen the Superman serials. So there's a lot of Superman stuff I haven't seen, but because Christopher Reeve movies are what really, so I'd already seen those Christopher Reeve movies. Batman show, Adam West was from '66, so by the time I was 5, that was already been out for 20 years. But then when I was 10 was Tim Burton's Batman, and then on. So Punisher was 1989, Dolph Lundgren, which I probably saw a year or 2 later. I didn't see it when it came out. Saw it on home video. I had the tape. So I like the Punisher because of Dolph Lundgren's Punisher. And to me, that's the only good Punisher. The Tom Jane Punisher. Tom Jane was good as Punisher. John Travolta was good as the bad guy. That movie was horrible. It was written so bad. I tried to watch it a couple times. I just can't get into it. Punisher Warzone, which is slightly better than that Punisher, but it's still not even close to Dolph Lundgren's Punisher. It's actually Dolph Lundgren Punisher is one of my favorite superhero movies. That most people say, well, that movie flopped. It was a bomb. It didn't do very good. But to me, Punisher is gritty. He's killing people. He's using a sword. He's using guns. He's using, that movie is, to me, is one of the best superhero movies. So that's where I became a Punisher fan, from Dolph Lundgren. And then there's the Punisher show. I was kind of excited about it, but let down. The guy from, I forget his name now, but he's from The Walking Dead, Rick's friend from The Walking Dead. And then he popped up in a bunch of movies, Wolf of Wall Street and a bunch of movies, and he played the Punisher. And he was decent. He was okay as Punisher, but that movie that show was just not very good. Remember the first season, I thought it was just so horrible. First half of the season, then it started to get good towards the end of the season, and then the season was over, and then season 2 was just really bad. So yeah, maybe half a season that was good out of two full seasons. It only lasted 2 seasons, so wasn't very good. Not even close to the Dolph Lundgren Punisher. I'd like to see a good remake of the Punisher. But Dolph Lundgren is the Punisher I like. Next would be the Incredible Hulk. I first found the Incredible Hulk from the TV show with Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby. When I was a kid, that was already on. Well, I was on, I think, 77, so by the time I was 85, that's about 6 years, already on for 6 years. And I think, 5 seasons, so it might have been just the ending, and then maybe reruns. But that show was so good. Lou Ferrigno, that's another actor. Lou Ferrigno is Incredible Hulk. It's perfect. Nobody else, no other actors played Incredible Hulk. The actual Hulk, they've done it with CGI in all the movies. They kind of put the actor's face, like Mark Ruffalo's face in the CGI, and the Hulk, and Edward Norton's face in the movies. But the whole Hulk is CGI. No actual actors played the Hulk like Lou Ferrigno did, and Lou Ferrigno was perfect in that role. That's another actor who's perfect in that role. Lou Ferrigno was, he's a bodybuilder. He's in Pumping Iron with Schwarzenegger, the documentary. But as an actor, he was born to play Incredible Hulk. He's perfect in that role. And that show is so good. I'll have to name my favorite. I'll name my favorite superhero shows after this. And then my top 10 superheroes and villains. I think that's all I wanted to say. But I knew I was going to keep getting off track, and this video is probably going to end up being long. So, but I just wanted to kind of cover everything. Also, I want to, if I remember, say which movies I saw in the theater as well, because I didn't really go to the theater too much, but I did see some of these in the theater, especially Batman. So yeah, I would probably keep getting off track, but Incredible Hulk was because of the show, and then so they were the first time I saw Superman was from the movie, Batman from Adam West, and then Tim Burton's Punisher from Dolph Lundgren, Incredible Hulk was from the show, and later I'll get into this, but Spider-Man was also from the 70s show. And then that's what got me into the comics. After that, I started reading some comics. So I had Batman, Superman, Punisher, Hulk, Spider-Man, and a few other comics like Ninja Turtles, which Ninja Turtles are technically classified as superheroes because they have powers, they're mutants, they're basically superheroes. But that's for a whole different video. I did my Ninja Turtle video separate from my superhero video because I have a huge Ninja Turtle collection too. And even though I kind of don't really think of them as superheroes, but but they are superheroes. So I did have some Ninja Turtle comic books and even Star Wars and Ghostbusters. Only a few, but out of comics, I only had I literally only had about that many comics, and I still have them. So maybe that many comics out of my whole life. So some people know comics, and then when they see the live action movie, they're like, that's nothing like it. But me, I don't know the comics, so I just know the live action movies, some animated movies, mostly Batman, and some shows, live action, and some animated shows, but not too many. So after Incredible Hulk, it'll be Superman, Batman, Punisher, Incredible Hulk. Next will be The Flash, which I didn't know The Flash. I knew of The Flash as a kid. So all those were when I was like 5 years old. All those were my favorite characters at 5 years old. And I had a different list. I would have had a different list back then if I named my superheroes back at 5 to 10 years old. Even 10 years old, my list would have been different. Back then, Spider-Man probably would have been next. But other people came later that jumped in front and made the list different. So I knew The Flash, but never had a Flash comic. Never saw anything Flash because there was nothing Flash. There was a live action Flash TV show in 1990 that only lasted one season. But I didn't see that for like 20 years later. Of course, I've seen it now and I have it. But I didn't know anything of The Flash, just of him. I knew his speed. But that's all I knew. So, but it's funny thinking now that the show was in 1990, same year as Dick Tracy, same year as Ninja Turtles, 1 year after Batman, 1 year after Punisher, but I had never heard of it, had no idea. So I remember when I did find it, once I had, 20 years later you got internet, so you can keep, what's this? You look up stuff, you Google something that's over here, you see it, what's this? So once I found it, I bought it. Yeah, it was close to when the other Flash show was starting. The younger, with Cisco and Killer Frost and Harrison Wells, that Flash. And I watched the 1990s Flash maybe 1 or 2 years before that Flash started, and then I really got in. So I watched that, and I really got into Flash. And that other show, that show's okay, the 1991, but the other show was really, really good. At least at the first and third season, second season's okay. So I really got into Flash. Flash became my next Superman, Batman, Punisher, Hulk. Flash became my 5th favorite superhero. But that wasn't until way, way later, like 20 years after, I was already 30 or however, I don't know, 10 years ago from now. Flash, and then my next 6th favorite superhero was also very, very recent, Deadpool, who was, Deadpool's in Wolverine Origins, X-Men Origins Wolverine, but he wasn't really, they just had him like, what's his name, Wade Wilson, or I forget, but he was him, and they were up on that mission, and then later he's with his mouth closed and his shirt off, and he comes to fight Wolverine, but that's it. So no costume, no nothing. I didn't think anything of it until Ryan Reynolds Deadpool, his movies Deadpool, and I was just blown away by it. The comedy, the action. He's flying around. Deadpool is so cool because to me he has the swords, he has the gun, the cool costume with the full mask, and he can't die, he can't get hurt. Even if his arm's cut off, it grows back. So to me, and Ryan Reynolds' humor. That's another actor. Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool is perfect because of the humor. Ryan Reynolds is great at that humor. So Deadpool jumped to my 6th favorite after the Flash. After that, it will be Spider-Man, because Spider-Man was one of my favorites since I was a kid. Spider-Man, the first time I saw Spider-Man was I think it was a 70s TV show. Live action TV show, I think from the 70s. And Spider-Man, and that's the reason I like Spider-Man so much. He's actually climbing the buildings. He's fighting hand to hand. The newer Spider-Man, he's just swinging, and there's a lot of, it's updated so much. I actually like the old Spider-Man better, really, because I mean, you don't see Spider-Man climbing the buildings anymore. He just kind of swings around, and these new ones with Tom Holland are so updated. With Tony Stark gives him these glasses, and everything's so updated. But I like the old Spider-Man. Of course, I've seen all the Spider-Mans now, but when I was a kid, it was that '70s Spider-Man show that I liked. That I liked Spider-Man. So Spider-Man would be next. Spider-Man would have been up on the list, but he got pushed back a little bit because of Flash and Deadpool. Spider-Man, after Spider-Man, it would be actually, I always forget this, but Swamp Thing. I love Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing, when I was a kid, I saw the first Swamp Thing. I never knew there was a second movie. And this was 80s too. I don't know. I think it's probably a little before Punisher, before Batman, maybe 88 or something. The first Swamp Thing, Wes Craven did it. Master of Horror. And I didn't know I didn't know who Wes Craven was at that time as a kid. But I saw the Swamp Thing movie and I loved it. And then the animated show Swamp Thing, I loved that show. That was one of my, I watched so many different cartoons when I was a kid. And not just superhero, but so many. And Swamp Thing was one of those cartoons. And I rewatched it again a few years ago. I was on YouTube, and it only has 7 episodes. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a lot longer than that, but it only has 7 episodes. But I rewatched it, and it's still good. It's still great. So that I like Swamp Thing since I was a kid because of the movie. The first movie, there was a second movie I didn't know existed. There's also a live-action TV show from 1990 I didn't know existed. I have them all now. If you watch my video, you'll see them all. The live-action TV show from 1990, which was the same year as Dick Tracy, same year as the Flash show. I didn't know these existed in 1990. In 1990, I was watching Ninja Turtles in the theater. I was watching Dick Tracy. I didn't see Dick Tracy in the theater, but this was 1 year after Batman that I saw in the theater. So, but I didn't know the Flash existed. I didn't know Swamp Thing show existed. A live-action show. There's actually, I think there's 3 seasons. I think I have the first 2. I think I'm missing the 3rd. I couldn't find it online when I was buying that. So trying to get everything Swamp Thing that I didn't know existed. The show's actually the animated show's actually hard to find too. I think it was like $80 because it's very rare. Amazon, I'm not paying $80 for 7 episodes. That's crazy. But if I ever saw the animated show, I'd buy it. They actually had a lot of toys for that show too, and you can buy some of those on Amazon. Probably used or expensive if they're new, if they're still in a package, but you still have those toys from back in 1990 or whatever year it was the show. so Swamp Thing's actually my next favorite because I love Swamp Thing, but he's a smaller, he's not really. I don't know. He doesn't seem to be. There's some of these characters are in big movies or a lot of movies, and actually, I mean, Swamp Thing has a show. I mean, the movie, 2 movies, the live action show, anime show, and then there was just a few years ago, like 2 years ago, there was another Swamp Thing live action show, which I was excited about. But that was just like Punisher. It was horrible. I mean, half of it was good. The first 5 episodes were horrible, and the guy that played Alec. I forget his name. The guy that turns into Swamp Thing, Alec, as a human, Alec Holland. The guy that played him was horrible. He's miscast, so that was bad. And then the first 5 episodes were bad. And just like Punisher, the last 5 episodes got really good, and then the show got canceled. So there's only 1 season of that Swamp Thing. So it started off bad, and then it ended up. I liked the last 5 episodes, but not the first 5 were really bad. And the guy who played Alec Holland was bad. But I'd like to see a Swamp Thing remake and do it good. So I'd say Swamp Thing, and then next would be Dick Tracy. If you count Dick Tracy as a superhero, I don't know if he really is a superhero, but he fights crime. He got a watch that. The funny thing about Dick Tracy is he has a watch that he talks into, right, from the 30s. Well, you actually have those now, so he's caught up to real life. Right now, that's like an actual real thing. So, but yeah, Dick Tracy fights crime. I think of Dick Tracy as a superhero. So next would probably be Dick Tracy. And Dick Tracy I knew, not from the comics, not from the newspaper, you know, Dick Tracy, the comic in the newspaper, is it still in the comics? I mean, if you open a newspaper right now today, Dick Tracy is still there from the 30s. I think 1931 he was created. He's been in the paper every day or every Sunday or however they do it from then till now. Like, he's still literally one strip of Dick Tracy in the comic pages in the paper. So that's crazy, but that's, you know, all those years Dick Tracy's still there. But for movie wise, there's been one Dick Tracy movie since 1990. Warren Beatty, who was perfect as Dick Tracy, no sequels, no reboots, they reboot Spider-Man like 5 times in 3 years or whatever, but Dick Tracy, there hasn't been a Dick Tracy movie since 1990. And there was some Dick Tracy movies from the 40s, and there's some Dick Tracy serials from the probably 30s or 40s, and there's some animated stuff, but no movie since 1990. That's crazy. But Dick Tracy has to be one of the longest running comics because Dick Tracy is still in the paper, still today. So, but movie wise, nothing since 1990. That's 30 years of nothing, you know. So, Dick Tracy, I would say, even if I would say he's a superhero, though, I think of him as a superhero. Next will be I don't know where I'm at now. Superman, Batman, Punisher, Hulk, Flash, Deadpool, Swamp Thing, Dick Tracy. That's 8. Next would be, I would say, some of the X-Men are really cool. Probably Wolverine. Wolverine's pretty badass. I say Wolverine's probably number 9. And some of the X-Men, I mean, some of the X-Men, there's so many X-Men that it's like, wow, this one's cool, this one's cool, this one's cool. So, probably Wolverine, but I don't know where I'd put these, but also Xavier, I mean, to read people's minds. He's so strong that he can just freeze everyone. I mean, he can do lots of things. Not just read your mind, but he can do lots of things. Xavier, and then Magneto is another one to control metal, so he's a very, very powerful person. Magneto, so you can't, you know, but he's a bad guy. He'd be a villain, though. But another one, it's another thing I wanted to do, if I remember. There's so many things I want to talk about. That's why I wanted to do this long video. It's probably going to be rambling on. I keep getting off track, and I'll probably forget to say some of the stuff. But I also wanted to say my favorite superpowers, too. Because some of the X-Men have some of my favorite superpowers. I'd say Wolverine, Xavier, Magneto would be one of the best villains ever. So I have to put him on the villain list. Mystique, which I guess she's a villain. She was a villain in the original X-Men, but in the prequel X-Men, First Class, and Days of Future Past, she was a good guy. So she was with Xavier. So I don't know. I'm confused, but I guess she's a villain. See, I was expecting her to go with Magneto later, but she dies in Dark Phoenix, so I don't know if she's a good guy or a bad guy. I don't know. I never read any X-Men comics, so that's another thing. I didn't know anything about the X-Men until the X-Men movies, live action movies. My friend read the X-Men and Iron Man as a kid, but I never. The only X-Men I think I knew was the video game at the arcade. Had the 4 controllers, and I always picked Wolverine. I never knew anything about X-Men, but even back then I picked Wolverine to play. And they also had the Ninja Turtles set up the same way, the 4 controllers. And I always liked the Ninja Turtle better, but I played X-Men too with my friend, and I always picked Wolverine, but I never read any. So I didn't know anything about X-Men until the movies. First movie was 2000, the year 2000. I like Mystique because her power is she can change into any person. She can change into any person. So that's a very cool power. You can do whatever you want. But I don't know if she's a bad guy or a good guy. I don't know. Nightcrawler is another one who he can teleport. I always like the teleport superpower because you could just so you can go wherever you want. Being invisible is cool. Seems cool, but you'd have to Fantastic Four. The girl has to take off her clothes to be invisible. You actually see clothes walking. It'd be better to teleport. You can just go. So I like Nightcrawler and also the other guy, like the devil, the red guy with the beard. They both have tails. He has a tail like Nightcrawler. He was in First Class. I forget his name. But the teleport would be one of the cool. And Nightcrawler's a good guy, I think. Yeah, Nightcrawler's a good guy. So some of those X-Men would be cool. I'd say Wolverine's probably my favorite, even though Xavier's more powerful. Next would be probably Supergirl. I didn't know there was a Supergirl movie. I didn't really know anything about Supergirl. I knew there was a Supergirl. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything else until like 2008. My friend online told me, "Oh, the Supergirl movie." I was like, "What do you mean Supergirl movie? Was it a cartoon movie, animated? What is it?" He's, "No, it's real people, live action." I said, "What?" So I looked it up, and there's a Supergirl movie from, like, I think it came out in between Superman 3 and 4, which I was still a kid. I had no idea it existed until like 2008, till I had internet and I could look up everything. So I went and got a Supergirl movie, and I liked it. I was like, wow, this is, I kind of like Supergirl. Faye Dunaway was the bad girl. Helen Slater played Supergirl, and I liked Supergirl. So I watched the show, the new show that's actually still on now, and that sucks. The first season was kind of okay, and then the second season got better. Her and Mon-El, and they get together, and then they say, season 3, we got to break them apart and send them away, and we got to make the show really bad. And then the show got so bad I stopped watching it. But I like Supergirl the movie, not that stupid show. So I like Supergirl. And what I forgot, which would go ahead of, well, he'd go somewhere under this, I don't know where, but Constantine. I didn't know anything about Constantine until I actually did see the Keanu Reeves Constantine, but I didn't think anything of it. I thought that movie sucked. I didn't think anything twice because I'm like, that movie sucked. So I didn't look into it or anything. And then I saw there was a Constantine TV show which was already canceled, only one season. I saw it for like $10 or something at the store, and I thought, I'll give it a try. Why not? And that show was great. The guy, Matt Ryan, who plays Constantine, is perfect in that role. He's witty. He's got powers. And that show is really good. And that's a show, Constantine is a great show. It gets canceled after one season. Yeah, Supergirl sucks and it goes 6 seasons, or Legend of Tomorrow, which is okay. It's like 7 seasons. Why would they cancel Constantine? That show was great. I mean, really, really good show. That's definitely one of the best superhero shows. So I really got into Constantine after that show, and so much that I wanted to see all Constantine after. So I saw the Constantine after I watched the show, was before the animated movie. I forget what it's called, Constantine City of Demons or something. And I was looking forward to it, but in the show, Constantine, in the movie, in the show, Constantine has his friend who drives him around in a taxi. And that guy is also, he's in the movie, played by Shia LaBeouf. And he's in the show, played by somebody else. But in the show, he has a friend named Zed, who is from the comics. So I looked her up. But I remember the first episode, he just meets her, and I'm like, you can't trust this girl. I don't know. I don't think, because she can see things, I think. It's been a while since I saw it, but she can, like, see things. And she saw him, so she came to him. And I was like, the first episode, I was like, you can't trust this girl, But then, throughout the show, she became so trustworthy to him that he could trust her with anything. And I love that relationship between Constantine and Zed. And so after the show was over, one season, I was looking forward to the animated movie. No Zed. I wanted Zed to be in it. And the other guy who drives around in the taxi. This guy should be with Constantine all the time, but no, I don't think that guy was in it. Or maybe he was, I don't know. But Zed wasn't in it. And Zed wasn't anything. Later, Constantine was on one episode of Arrow, and then he became a regular in Legends of Tomorrow, which actually brought the show up. Legends of Tomorrow is a decent show, but Constantine being on the show brought it up because that guy is Constantine. Matt Ryan is great. So he actually elevated the show by being on it. But no Zed anywhere out of the show, and their relationship I thought was just, he could trust her with anything. And I really liked that relationship that they had. and I thought, I didn't know if she was made up for the show, but she's actually I Googled her, and she's from the comics. So Constantine would be one of my favorite characters somewhere. Oh, yeah, and the other thing I didn't know is Constantine and Swamp Thing have I guess they were in the comics together. So in Swamp and Constantine, I think. Oh, actually, in Justice League Dark, Batman and Constantine are the main characters, and they go to Swamp Thing, and he get his help or whatever, and they mention Swamp Thing and Constantine or something. There's actually some kind of something that Constantine and Swamp Thing have. I think they were together in the comics, maybe when they were created. I don't know because I don't know the comics. But Constantine would definitely be in somewhere as in my favorite. Before Supergirl, probably after Dick Tracy, after Wolverine, but before Supergirl, I'd say. He's definitely one of my favorites because of Matt Ryan and the show. Not because of the kind of Reeve movie. That movie sucks. So I don't know what that is, 10 or 11 or 12 maybe. So that's my favorite superheroes. I'm sure there's other ones. Oh, Iron Man also. Iron Man's another one. There's a lot. Iron Man's another one, but that's because of Robert Downey Jr. I never knew Iron Man from the comics or anywhere else. I knew of him because Iron Man was a big superhero, but I never knew anything. But once Robert Downey Jr. played him, he became like, great. So then I had to see Iron Man and the Avengers, and the Avengers is so good too. So Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man's one of my favorite because of Robert Downey Jr. That was 2008. I know that when that came out. So I didn't like Iron Man until 2008 with that first movie, and then later everything else he did. I saw Iron Man's in there, and there's some other ones too. But off the top of my head, I'd say those are my favorite. Wonder Woman I never really liked. Gal Gadot is really good as Wonder Woman in Batman vs Superman and the her movie. She is really good as Wonder Woman, but she was never really my favorite. She's okay, but Aquaman, I don't know. I mean, there are some other ones I like, but basically those are my favorite ones. Before I forget, I guess I will say my favorite superpowers. Obviously, Superman's the best superhero ever created, but he has multiple powers. If you had to pick one power, I would say Flash is definitely. I like that speed. I really like that. To have that speed would be to be a speedster. In Reverse Flash is he's even faster and he's evil bad guy. So, but I think Flash's speed will be one. Mystique's be able to turn into any person will be another, and to teleport what's the name? Nightcrawler or the guy in Push. What's it called? Jumper, Hayden Christensen and Jumper to be able to teleport will be another one, and obviously Xavier's would be a good one to be able to read minds and that. I think those would be my favorite. To be invincible obviously would be a good one, and there's some really cool ones. I mean, but I think those would probably be my favorite. Now I'll say my favorite top 10 villains. Top 10 villains. Most of them are going to be from Batman, but that's because they're just so good. I mean, Joker obviously by far is the best villain of all time. Comic book villain. He's one of the best movie villains of all time. Joker's, Joker. So, and I like Joker from 1989. Well, I did watch. Actually, the first Joker I ever saw would have been Adam West's Joker, but I never really thought twice about that Joker. He was Cesar Romero. He's okay. He's got a good laugh. The mustache under the paint, but I never really thought twice about it. But once I saw Nicholson as Joker in 1989, that blew me. That whole movie blew me away. I saw that movie in 1989, Tim Burton's Batman. That whole movie blew me away. But Nicholson's Joker was definitely one of my favorite performances, probably ever of all time. So I like Joker ever since I was 10 because of Nicholson. And obviously since then we have Heath Ledger and Jared Leto, which isn't very good. But Heath Ledger is good in a different way as Nicholson. I never thought, after seeing Nicholson, I thought nobody else could play Joker. I thought that was one of those. That's another one perfect for the role. Like, that's a bad guy, but just like Robert Downey or whoever, married to the role, perfect to the role. Nicholson's perfect as Joker, but Nicholson is a great actor who could do, Robert Downey Jr. won an Oscar. He played Chaplin, and Nicholson won Oscars, but he was perfect as Joker. To me, I was like, nobody else could play Joker. Nobody. But then, so 1989 and 2008, so that's 19 years. Heath Ledger, 19 years it took, but Heath Ledger played him, and then he did it so good, but in a different way. So Heath Ledger's a different Joker than Nicholson. But it's good because if he tried to do the same thing, I don't think it would have worked. So he did his own Joker, and he did it great too. Nicholson's still my favorite Joker, but Heath Ledger was really good too. Jared Leto, and I didn't like Jared Leto. I didn't like his Joker really. I mean, it was okay, but not compared to the other two. Next would be, I don't know how this is going to go. I'll just name them off. It doesn't really have to be in order. Obviously, Penguin, because, I remember Penguin I watched the Adam West show before Batman Returns, but I kind of forgot, I guess. Once I remember the Penguin from Batman Returns with Danny DeVito, and I didn't think much of the Penguin because he wasn't really good, I guess. But once I rewatched the Adam West show with Burgess Meredith as Penguin, that's another great performance. He is a criminal genius. Penguin is a criminal genius, and I didn't get that at all from Danny DeVito's Penguin in Batman Returns. He just wasn't very good, but Burgess Meredith as Penguin in the show, Adam West show, he's a criminal genius, and some of those things he does is genius, and it's written so well. But also Oswald Cobblepot in Gotham, the show, which I didn't really like that show that much either, Gotham, but it's actually kind of bored me. I mean, 22 episodes of each season was way, way too long. It was okay show, but 22 episodes was way too long. But the only thing I did like was Oswald Cobblepot and him coming up, and you see how he's a criminal genius in that show too, just coming up. He's younger, but so Penguin, and then somewhere will be Lex Luthor because he's a genius as well. Gerald Zod because he's, Lex Luthor is the first Batman, the first Superman, and the second and the fourth movies, plus the other later, and then all but, actually in Superman Returns, he wasn't Man of Steel, but he wasn't Batman vs Superman, so actually he was in almost all the Superman movies except for, I think, one, except for two. Lex Luthor, the character. So Lex Luthor, but I saw him in the first Superman, obviously when I was a kid, and General Zod, Superman 2, when I was a kid, and he was in Man of Steel. And then there would be Riddler, obviously, because he's just, Riddler, and then Catwoman, so most of those are Batman, Superman. After that, I would say next would be Reverse Flash, which I didn't know until this new Flash show. I don't know what year that was, maybe 2014 maybe, I think, was the Flash season 1, the one that's still on now. Reverse Flash was in the first season, and he was so good that he jumped all the way to my list of favorite villains, Reverse Flash. Next would be Dark Archer, which I didn't know anything about him until I saw Arrow. Didn't know anything about Green Arrow until I saw that show. That was 2012, but I didn't see it for a year or two later. I started watching it a year or two after it was already on. Dark Archer was so good that, to me, that guy, that's another role that played perfect. That guy that, I don't even know his name. And he's not a big actor. I think he was in Doctor Who and some other shows. I don't even know if he was in any big movies or not. But the guy that played Dark Archer in Arrow is perfect in that role. And not only was he perfect, but to me, when I was watching those scenes with Dark Archer in the first and second, whatever seasons he was in, he was so far ahead. He was so, his performance was so good. It made the rest of the cast look like amateurs. To me, he was so, and I'm like, he was so good, and I'm like, who is this guy? Is this guy? He actually reminded me of John Travolta. His face almost looked like John Travolta. I thought, is he Travolta's cousin or relative? I had to Google the guy, look him up to see who he was. I'm like, he's not in any other movies. He's not a big actor. I was like, this guy is good. He was so good that, but everybody else, Yeah, most of the others are unknown. Stephen Amell, you know now because there's Ninja Turtles and stuff, but most of the cast unknown. But he made the rest of the cast look. I mean, he was so good that the other cast just looked like they were amateurs, you know. So, but he was perfect as Dark Archer. Dark Archer jumped to my list of favorite villains. I don't know how many that is. I don't know. So yeah. So mostly Batman, Superman, and then Reverse Flash, Dark Archer. Magneto will be on the list because Magneto is very powerful mutant. He can control metal, so he can do lots of things. I mean, he can lift a whole submarine out of the water. He can do whatever he wants really with metal. Mystique will be one of my favorites. If I guess she was bad in the original 3 X-Men, so she'd be one of my favorite villains. I'm sure there's others, but I can't really think offhand. Thanos is a big villain, obviously, because of the Avengers stuff, but he's not really one of my favorites. Obviously, he's powerful, but he's not really one of my favorites. I don't know. I'm sure there's others, but that's all I can think of offhand. I guess I'll say the movies that I saw in theater. Did I say? I didn't say my favorite. I said my villains, actors. I didn't say my favorite movies. I don't think. So I'll say my favorite. I saw the movies I saw in theater. Mostly Batman. I saw Batman in 1989 when I was 10 years old, and that was the biggest movie of my life that I saw in theater of any movie. Next will be Ninja Turtles in 1990, which is a superhero movie. So, but Batman was 1989 when I was 10. Batman 1993, Batman Mask of the Phantasm. That's an animated movie that went to the theater in 1993. I went and saw Batman Mask of the Phantasm. And then 2005, I saw Batman Begins. 2008, I saw Dark Knight. That was a huge one. And 2012, Dark Knight Rises. That was another huge one. But Dark Knight was breaking all these records money-wise. And Heath Ledger just died. So that was a really hyped up movie. But yeah, you wonder how's Christopher Nolan gonna match that, and he, in a way, he topped it with Dark Knight Rises. I mean, that movie was crazy. Bane takes over the whole city. It's different than Dark Knight, but it's in a way it's bigger really. And I don't know how Christopher Nolan just kept going bigger, but he did, and he made all 3 of those movies great. So I saw all 3 of those in theater. I also saw Man of Steel in theater. The only Superman I saw in theater. Well, I didn't see the ones before it. Then I saw Batman versus Superman in theater. I don't know what year. I don't remember what years those were. And I think I saw Justice League in theater, but I don't remember. I know I saw Man of Steel in theater. I saw Batman vs Superman in theater. And I think I saw Justice League in theater, but that movie wasn't very good, so I kind of forget. I think I kind of forget it, but pretty sure I saw all 3 of those in theater. I saw those in theater as well. As for superhero movies, I think that's really it. Batman and Superman. I didn't see any of the Avengers in theater. I didn't see. Yeah, I think that's about it. Mostly Batman, and then the one Superman with Batman versus Superman. So 2 Superman. Well, 3 if you count Justice League. So I think that's all of the superhero movies I saw in theater. Yeah, mostly I saw Indiana Jones, Kingdom of Crystal Skull, stuff like that. Karate Kid when I was a kid, but I don't know. I guess I didn't see very many. I think that's all, as far as I can think of. So mostly Batman, mostly Superman. But Batman and Superman are my favorite. Actually, I'm looking forward to The Flash. I don't know if I'll see it in the theater, but The Flash movie, because there's never been a Flash movie, and that's supposed to be, kept getting pushed back. but now it's supposed to be 2022, and there's a rumor that Michael Keaton was going to play Batman in the Flash movie. That'd be really cool. That'd be his third time. The other video is talking about how Christian Bale played Batman 3 times, Ben Affleck played Batman 3 times, only one cameo, and two Batman movies, Batman vs Superman, Justice League, and a cameo in Suicide Squad. And Michael Keaton played him twice. Saying how Adam West played Batman the most by far, thousands of hours of the TV show, let alone numerous he voiced Batman in numerous animated stuff. So, but if Michael Keaton plays Batman one more time in the Flash, that would make him 3 times. That would be great. Plus, I'm looking forward to the Flash, because no Flash movie. You have 2 Flash shows, but no movie ever of Flash. He's in Justice League, but not his own movie. So, looking forward to that. And then, I guess the only other thing was my favorite movies. I think I said everything else I wanted to say. I don't know how long it's been going for, but probably too long. So I'll just say my favorite movies now. My favorite superhero movie of all time is still the same as it was since I was a kid. Even with all these good ones out, Avengers and all these good ones, a lot of superhero movies are done good now. When I was a kid, superheroes movies have gone through a lot since I was a kid. When I was a kid, superhero movies were low budget, B movies were no good special effects, no money put into them, and no big actors, except the exceptions were Superman or Batman. Everything else was a low budget, like Punisher. Look at the Captain America movies made for TV, and look at the Punisher, and look at or they had I need to say my favorite shows. I would say my favorite movies and shows. I think that's all. But superheroes genre has gone through a huge change. Actually, it's gone through like 3 different changes since I was a kid. When I was a kid, yeah, Superman, big movie, and then Batman, big movie, and you had some shows like Incredible Hulk and Spider-Man and Batman. But movie-wise, superhero stuff were usually B movies. You had usually no known actors, and you definitely did not have Academy Award-winning actors like you do now. Robert Downey Jr., Robert Redford, Tommy Lee Jones were all in Captain America. Sam Jackson, all these are Academy Award-winning actors. Back then, and even the 90s, when I was growing up, you didn't have that. You had not big actors, definitely not Academy Award-winning actors, and you had very low budget superhero movies, minimal special effects, nothing like the $300 million that they're putting in these movies now. Not even close. They were like $1 million little tiny budget movies, except for, like I said, the exception were Superman, where they made it big, and Batman, where they made it big. But even Batman, Michael Keaton was at the beginning of his career. He wasn't a huge actor at the time. Christopher Reeves wasn't really in anything else either. Gene Hackman was, and Nicholson was. So the bad guys were, but the good guys weren't really big actors. But that was Batman and Superman. Everything else was very low budget. Punisher, low budget, even though that's one of my favorites. If you look at that Fantastic Four that was never released, very low budget. Look at the Captain America from the 70s and the one from 1990, really low budget. I think I remember watching those Captain America on TV, and they were just so low budget, I didn't really like them. Dick Tracy was kind of a bigger movie, but that had Warren Beatty, which was a good actor. But they were really small budget movies until the first time it changed I saw was X-Men. The X-Men put all these special effects, lots of actors, even though some of those actors weren't really, you had Patrick Stewart and you had Ian McKellen, big actors. But the rest of the actors weren't really big. Even Hugh Jackman wasn't really very known at the time. So none of the other actors, they had the 2 big actors, but the other actors weren't really known. But they put a lot of actors in there, a lot of special effects. They put money into it, and they made them good. the X-Men movies were really good. And outside of Superman and Batman, I think the X-Men were really the first big change in superhero movies since I was a kid, you know. So, because the movies I watched were, I don't know, I'm trying to think. I mean, I watched, you know, the shows and the movies, but once X-Men came, it changed the whole superhero genre in movies, in live action movies. X-Men put money into it, big actors into it, and they did it good. You know, sometimes the superhero movies weren't that good, or they were okay, but they made it good, so it changed that. That was the year 2000. And the first two X-Men were really good, and the third one was kind of fell off, wasn't very good. And then they rebooted X-Men later, and they made them really good, the new ones. But, so the first change was X-Men in 2000. And then you had what we have now, in 2008. Then it started to 2008, Iron Man. Iron Man changed the superhero genre, just totally flipped it, twisted it around. You made Iron Man, and it was Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark who made that movie. So basically, Robert Downey Jr. single-handedly gave us what we have now. I mean, it was the producers and everybody else, and putting the money into it, and then making it good. They started writing them really good, you know. Instead of saying, well, there's a lot of you know, even from the 90s and 80s, these producers, they thought superhero movies, they're for kids, or they're from the comics, so they'd write them real bad, or they didn't care. But once they started, you know, saw that they could make money, they said, oh, well, you got to start writing them good. So Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr., I think, is very responsible for the success of what we know now as Marvel Cinematic Universe and what DC is trying to do with their DC Extended Universe or whatever. But but right now, what we know right now is Marvel, 3 Iron Man, 3 Thor, 3 Captain America, 4 Avengers, all connect. Not only that, but the Spider-Man connect, and Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. connects, and all this stuff, this huge what Marvel did, all started with Iron Man in 2008. And that was a huge, huge change. So first, you know, you had Batman, Superman, and the 70s, you know, 90s, 80s, 90s, whatever. And then nothing really. And then changed again with X-Men. But then 2008, it just totally opened this world, huge world. And Marvel did it, and the producers did it, and the writers. But Robert Downey Jr. is to me, he's really the one who... Because if Iron Man flopped, we wouldn't have what we have now with Marvel. And Robert Downey Jr. made Iron Man. He was 1,000% Iron Man. He was 1,000% Tony Stark. He made that movie work, and he made that movie make so much money. Basically, he did it himself, I think. Because if that movie flopped, we wouldn't have what we have now. I mean, maybe they would try later or whatever, but Robert Downey Jr. really made the Marvel Cinematic Universe what it is today. Him and other stuff. So Iron Man was so good, and then, you know, and then it just changed. Then it really changed, and then they brought in, you know, Robert Downey Jr. is already an Academy Award-winning actor. So then they said, well, we can bring in these not only good actors, but Academy Award-winning actors. We can put it, you know, $300 million into these movies. We can put special effects. We can actually write them good. We can make these movies good. And what they did was they made a lot of good movies. Or decent, the Iron Man 1 was really good. The second one, third were okay. But Avengers was really good. The first one. And the third one, Infinity War, and was really good. And you know, they made them good. The Captain Americas were really good, pretty good, and Thor's were okay. Thor's were good. But the way they mixed them together, that's another thing they did too. Whoever did, I don't know who's behind it, but the producers, whoever, that connected them all. And you know, you have Iron Man 2, and Avengers, and then you got Thor 1 and Captain America 1, then you got Avengers, then you got Thor 2 and Captain America 2, and then Avengers 2, and then you got Thor 3, Iron Man, you know, all of them have their trilogy. And then you got the 4 Avengers, and then you got Spider-Man, and the Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man and Black Panther and Captain Marvel all coming in. Whoever did that was brilliant, you know, and they did it perfect. And then DC, who, you know, they have Batman and Superman, so they should know what they're doing, you know. But what DC did was, oh, let's do Batman versus Superman and then Justice League, and it's not introduce anybody else. Flash, and the Flash doesn't have a movie for 5 years later, and it's still not out. And Wonder Woman's movie will come out later. And they didn't put them together right, you know. And then they flopped, and then Batman vs Superman was okay. It had some good parts, but it wasn't really that good. Justice League was horrible, and you know I love these characters, and these are Batman and Superman, you know. But they're making movies that aren't that good. They don't connect. The movies are coming out way later or still aren't out. Aquaman, and I don't know. They just didn't do it right. DC didn't do it right. They tried to do what Marvel did, and they didn't do it right. But what Marvel did was they just really did it right. And everything connected, and then now everything's they're bringing, you know, they have Doctor Strange and everything in there. But now they're going to be bringing the X-Men, and I guess Disney owns Marvel now. So I guess Disney now owns Fox as well. So they're going to be bringing the X-Men and Fantastic Four, and I'll put them all in there together too, and that's cool, you know. But Disney's going to own soon. Disney's going to own every single studio in the world. Disney's going to be the only studio. They're going to own everything, but it's cool how they can put everything together now. Deadpool as well. I think they're going to put Deadpool as well. So, and the good thing about, you know, the bad thing is the different studio owned them, so you couldn't put them. Then the comics are together, but the movies. They couldn't put them together because different studio on this one, different studio on Spider-Man, But now that they own them all, Disney owns everything. They're gonna put them all together, which is cool. But but Iron Man really, you know, first it was, I'd say Batman and Superman really changed it when I was a kid, and then it was kind of still low budget, except for the big ones, and then it was X-Men. Changed it, and then it was Iron Man. Really, the way we have it now is because of Iron Man. You have to think, if you like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and everything the way it's going now, you have to thank Iron Man for that. So without Iron Man, that would have never been. And Robert Downey Jr., which is another reason why I say Robert Downey Jr. is, you know, one of the best. Robert Downey Jr. is the best actor to play a superhero. And he really did that movie and made all that. So I would say, so as for my favorite movies, my favorite movie now is still my favorite movie. Since, even though all those are good, all these new ones are good. And most of them are, you know, there's a lot. The thing is, there's too many, really. They have too many. Like, if you look at how many movies are coming out next year, there's like 5,000 or something. It's like, what? You know, not that many. That's an exaggeration, but there's like way too many. You can't keep up. You can't keep track. You can't afford to buy or go that many. You don't have the time to do it. There's just too many. There's literally, I think I looked on, Disney Plus has 12 Marvel shows coming out just this year. 12. That's insane. That's just TV shows. Then you have another like 13 movies, and that's just Marvel. Then you got all the DC, so literally you have like 30 or 40 superhero movies in 1 year plus shows. That's what if, you know, a lot of them are good, which is bad because, I mean, it's good that they're good, but they're giving us too much at once. Just like Star Wars was doing, like, well, there's 10 Star Wars movies a year. Well, you know, I love Star Wars, I love these Marvel movies, but I can't watch, I either don't have the time, can't afford it, or I just don't really want to see that many. You know, it's too many. You have other movies to watch too, you know. So it's good that they're good, but the bad thing is there's too much content at once. And 12 shows in 1 year, 12 new shows coming out, plus all the movies. That's insane. That's crazy. Who could, even if you wanted to watch all them, it's too much. It's too much stuff. But anyways, there's a lot of good movies now, and you know, I really like the Captain Americas, and I like the Thors, and some of them, and I like the Iron Mans and the Avengers, and you know, and those are just the big ones. Then you got small ones and small superhero shows, and then you got all the other movies that you want to watch. You know, really, you'd have to say, I can't watch anything else but superhero shows because there's too many. But anyway, well, this was the Batman. I mean, this was the book that I had to. Batman book that I wrote down the characters in. But anyway, so my favorite movie, yeah, I keep getting off track. My favorite movie, superhero movie of all time, is still my favorite that it was when I was a kid. It didn't change. Even with all the good ones, nothing still came before it. Superman the movie. Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve is the best, in my opinion, the best superhero movie of all time. Just because it was, I mean, it's got it's got heart, it's got emotion. It was written by Mario Puzo, which probably helps because he was a novel writer, not a screenwriter, or not just somebody trying to write a quick movie. He actually wrote books. So I think that's why it's so good. One reason why it's so good. And not just Superman, but Superman and Superman 2, which were actually filmed together. Superman and Superman 2 were filmed together by Richard Donner at the same time. And then it got too big, and they needed to finish Superman, so Richard Donner stopped filming Superman 2 so they could finish the first one. And then the first one came out, and it was a big success. But then Richard Donner, I don't know what happened, but Richard Donner got in a fight with the producers, and they fired Richard Donner, brought somebody else in to do Superman 2, which was already almost done. So this guy reshot some stuff. They didn't want to pay Marlon Brando, so they cut all his scenes out. And that's a travesty, because if you watch the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, the scenes with Marlon Brando are very good, especially because this is the last time Superman sees his dad, Marlon Brando, because I forget what happens, but he's gonna go away, or he's gone. I guess the crystals. I forget what happens, but it's the last time he's gonna see him, and they say the father is now the son. I mean, the son is now the father, and it was a very emotional scene. And they cut all that out because they didn't want to pay Marlon Brando, and then they put in the theatrical cut of Superman 2, they put his mom in there speaking, reading the things, and it has no emotional value at all. So you watch the Richard Donner cut, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so much better. But you're missing that, and you don't know you're missing that. As a kid, I saw Superman 2 and never knew there was another version. They say Richard Donner version, you're like, oh my gosh, that's a way, way better version. And there's other stuff too that's cut or changed, refilmed. Some of the stuff in Superman 2 theatrical is actually better, but some of the stuff in Donner cut's better, especially the Brando stuff. So Superman and Superman 2 to me are one movie, are you have to watch together. You watch Superman and then you watch Superman 2. So Superman and Superman 2 are the best, to me, the best Superman movie. I mean, the best superhero movie ever. Next will be, this is hard, but next would be Tim Burton's Batman, 1989. I guess that's the one I saw when I was 10 in 1989. That one blew me away. But it's hard because Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises got to go in there somewhere too. And those are, I mean, Tim Burton's is still my favorite. I mean, I saw that when I was 10, but Christopher Nolan's different because it's more real, more realistic. It's basically the closest thing you could ever have if Batman was a real person. This is what Batman would do if he was a real person. This is how he would do things. And it's the closest thing to that. Everything else is more a movie-wise. But this is the closest to realistic as you could, Christopher Nolan's. So somewhere would be Christopher Nolan's trilogy, and somewhere would be Tim Burton's Batman, which I still watch today. I still like it. I love it as much as I did when I was a kid, when I was 10. So it would be Superman and Superman 2. Somewhere in there would be Batman and 1989 and the 3 Dark Knight trilogy. Then somewhere in there will be The Punisher. And, a lot of people don't know that movie, never saw it, or they don't like it, or they say, oh, it flopped. But The Punisher, to me, is one of the best superhero movies ever because I never saw a movie like that, a superhero movie like that. It's great. Even today, you don't really see superhero movies like that. That movie was gritty, violent, lots of action. Dolph Lundgren was an action star, so he was perfect as Punisher. But it was a gritty show and a gritty movie, and you don't see superhero movies like that, not even today. So Punisher, one of my favorite. I like the music, I like the action, I liked everything about that movie. Punisher is in there. Adam West's Batman, movie just because the Adam West show was classic. It has to be in there somewhere. I don't know where I'll put these, but these would be my favorite. They go somewhere. Avengers, the first Avengers, because that's where they all come together. And that's the first Avengers is a really good movie. Also, the third Avengers Infinity War is also another really good movie because you have all those guys, plus Guardians of the Galaxy, you have Black Panther, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, all these guys coming together. And Avengers Infinity War is a really good movie. Endgame is part of that too. They're both really the one, but Infinity War is better than Endgame. And then the first Iron Man is a good movie too because that's what really started, and that's where we first saw Robert Downey Jr.'s performance as Tony Stark. So Iron Man will be in there somewhere. What else? I'm sure there's others, but that's all I can think of. Superhero shows, the best. My favorite superhero shows would be Batman, Adam West, and Incredible Hulk. And since I was a kid, they were my favorite. Since I was a kid, Adam West Batman is iconic, classic, and it's campy, but it's perfect at what it does. Incredible Hulk is it's a great show. It's got heart. It's got emotion. It's got a lot of stuff. This guy has got to keep going. And he keeps getting into adventures. Every episode is different cast. It's the three main cast: it's Lou Ferrigno, Bill Bixby, and the reporter. I forget his real name. And everybody else is different in every episode. He goes in and gets in different adventures. Kind of like Kung Fu. He travels around. He can't stay in one place. So he gets in these ventures and he helps people, and it's a great show. Batman, Incredible Hulk. Next, I would say, is Arrow. I would say, even though those two are better shows, Arrow is the best all-around superhero show. If you want to learn the life of a superhero, I would say watch Arrow. That's Green Arrow with Stephen Amell, but the show is called Arrow. 8 seasons. That actually went the longest of any superhero show that I watched. That I ever watched. Yeah, any superhero show. Incredible Hulk went 5 seasons. Batman, for being iconic, only lasted 3. Arrow lasted 8 seasons, the longest of any superhero show that I ever watched. And I would say Arrow is the best all-around superhero show. So if you want to learn the life of a superhero, watch Arrow, because it's not as it's not as iconic as Batman. It's not as like Incredible Hulk, but you learn learn his backstory of how he became a superhero. 5 years of him being on this island and what he learns to become Green Arrow. And literally 5 years. I mean, the 5 full seasons, they show flashbacks for 5 full seasons. Then as he's becoming a superhero, and then he goes through his thing. He has a hood. First he has a little mask and a different mask, and he goes through changes. Even his name, first he's the Vigilante, and then he's the Hood, and then he's the Arrow, then he's the Green Arrow. Even the city goes through changes: Star City, Starling City. Starling City turns to Star City. He's got his, first he's Laurel's his girlfriend, but he goes on the boat. He's this billionaire playboy, and he cheats on his girlfriend, takes her sister on the boat, and she gets stranded, but you'll see later. He comes back, and Laurel's with his friend, and so, but then him and Laurel become friends again, and then him and Felicity, so his love life changes. He becomes a dad later. He becomes a mayor. Actually, first he loses he's a billionaire, then he loses all his money, and then I don't know what happens if he gets it back, or I think it goes to Felicity. It goes to Ray Palmer, and then Felicity has a relationship with Ray Palmer, and then back to Oliver Queen, that's Green Arrow, and then he becomes mayor. He goes to jail. He finds out he has a kid. He's friends with Flash. There's crossovers with the Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, and then later Batwoman in the last crossover. This is the best all-around superhero show that I've ever seen is Arrow, because it's really, really, if you want to learn the life of a superhero, you'd watch Arrow. And and Stephen Amell is really good as Arrow. I really like a lot of the characters, Felicity and Diggle. You know, first off, it's in the first like 2 episodes. It's 3 episodes. It's Oliver and Diggle, and then they bring Felicity in, and then it's them, and then they bring other team in, the sister and Doug Archer and all the villains. I mean, this is Arrow. I would say Arrow is the best, technically the best superhero show as a life of a superhero. But before that, it would be Incredible Hulk and Batman, and then after that, would be Flash. I actually liked Flash first better than I liked Arrow at first, but now Flash is kind of dipping down. The first season of Flash was really good. The second is good, but not as good as the first. And the third season of Flash was really good, very emotional. He has to save Iris. He keeps seeing her death over and over, and he has to figure out how to save her. Very, very emotional season 3 of the Flash. So Flash I like Flash better than Arrow, but by the time Arrow got done, now Arrow's above Flash, and Flash kind of dipped down. So, but Flash is still a good show. Flash will be my next favorite show after Arrow. Incredible Hulk, Batman, or Batman, Incredible Hulk, Arrow, and then Flash, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, which is very good. Consistently, 7 seasons, consistently good. A couple of seasons maybe a little bit less than the others, but 7 consistent good seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Plus Coulson from the Avengers and all the Marvel movies, and Coulson and May's chemistry together. I really like Coulson. He's funny. He can be a good leader. He takes over as director once Sam Jackson has to hide or whatever. Nick Fury. And I like Coulson from the movies, and then even better in his own show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But him and May, I really like him and May together. They have great chemistry. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is one of the best shows, and then Daredevil. Daredevil only lasted 3 seasons, but Daredevil is very gritty. Just like Punisher the movie, Daredevil is, you don't see too many movies or shows that gritty, but Daredevil is really gritty. Actually, the bad guys are better than the good guys. Like the guy that plays Daredevil, he's okay, but he's not really that. I don't know. He's okay, but anybody else could have played it better, I'm sure. But the bad guys, the Kingpin, I forget his name, but his actor's name. But the guy that played Kingpin does really good in season 1. Season 2, you had Punisher, and then Punisher got his own show after. And Elektra, the girl who plays Elektra, is really, really good. Way better than Jennifer Garner in the movie. The guy who plays Kingpin, way better than the guy that played him in the movie. And then season 3 with what's his name? Bullseye. Oh my gosh, he was he was good. So the guy who played Bullseye and the villains were really good, and the show was really gritty. Like I said, the good guys were just kind of blah, but the bad guys were really, really good, and the show was gritty. So Daredevil would be one of the best superhero shows. Only lasted 3 seasons, and then it had Defenders, which was a 8-episode, 1-season thing. So I had Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones, which I don't like Jessica Jones. She's annoying. Luke Cage, I never saw his show. Iron Fist, I wasn't going to watch Iron Fist, but Defenders was so good that, and the main bad guy in Defenders was from Daredevil and Iron Fist. So I ended up watching Iron Fist season 1 and 2, which wasn't very good. Season 1 was okay, had some good parts. I did like Colleen with the sword, his friend, the girl with the sword. I liked her, and I liked the Meacham, I think, the dad and the brother. He had to stay in his. I liked that, but overall, Iron Fist wasn't that good. But season 1, was okay. Season 2 was really bad. But Defenders was really good. But that goes along with Daredevil. So my favorite shows would be Batman, Adam West show, Incredible Hulk with Lou Ferrigno. Spider-Man is another one I really liked. I don't know if it's one of my favorites. I don't really remember it. But Spider-Man from the 70s live action show is really good. It's never been put on DVD, so I haven't been able to get it. But I'd like to rewatch that. But favorite shows, Batman, iconic show, and Incredible Hulk, also a great show. And then Green Arrow, which is technically the best all-around superhero show. And then Flash, which is very good. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is consistently good. And Daredevil. It's 3 seasons, but it's really, really good and gritty. So those would be my best favorite shows. And I think that's all I'm going to say because this video is probably a little too long already. But that's my favorite superhero shows, movies, superhero bad guys, and everything. I'm sure I forgot some. I was just saying most of the stuff off my head. Later I'm going to say, oh, I should have said this one or this guy or this movie. So, yeah, there's a lot of them, a lot of them. And if you watch my video, superhero movies, there's a lot that I have, a lot that I don't have, some that aren't out yet. Like the Spider-Man show. I really want to get that. If it ever comes on DVD, I'll get it. Some shows I don't want. Jessica Jones. Oh, no way. Stuff like that. There's some, and there are some other ones I don't have. Nick Fury with David Hasselhoff. I still don't have that. Haven't seen that yet. I will get that eventually. And Iron Fist I saw but don't have. But that's not important. I would buy Iron Fist season 1 because I did like some of it. And just some other stuff. Maybe some other stuff I saw but don't have, or but that's it. So thanks for watching.